Welcome to the section where we deal with getting your first notification. In the previous section, you installed Zabbix on your own server. The focus of this section is actually getting a parameter monitored. It shows how to check for the availability of a certain file and getting an email if the file is missing. It's a straightforward introduction dealing with hosts, items, triggers, media, and action settings. As opposed to other monitoring systems like Nagios, you will have to do more steps before you get your first notification. In return, you can control way more aspects of how you want to monitor servers and what should happen in case of problems. It is generally a good idea to install the Zabbix agent on every computer you have access to. The Zabbix server can then access any Zabbix agent to gather information about various system parameters. So let's install the Zabbix agent first. On a Debian system, that is pretty simple. You just have to install the respective binary package. As you can see here, the package is called Zabbix-agent. So the Zabbix agent package is installed, and you can see that it automatically created a configuration file in /etc/Zabbix. Let's edit this file. On Debian systems, the configuration file already contains everything you need to monitor the server. The two most important configuration parameters are the server itself, which is set to the localhost IP address because the Zabbix server and the Zabbix agent are running on the same system, and the host name setting. This is just a text string that you can use to describe the server. It should reflect the same name in the web interface. In this example, it's just called Zabbix server. To make sure that the Zabbix agent is running, you can use the ps command and check for processes called Zabbix_agentd. So let's switch to the web interface and log into the Zabbix system. After logging in, you will see the dashboard. In the number of monitored hosts, you get a 0 because by default no hosts are monitored. The 24 you see here counts the number of all hosts including the templates. There are no active hosts yet, but 24 templates that are ready for use. As mentioned in the previous video, the two most important navigation sections are monitoring, to take a look at the measured data but not configure it, and configuration, which is used to configure the monitoring of items and hosts. So when you go to configuration and hosts, you see that there is a Zabbix server host already configured. On the right side though, you see that the status shows not monitored. That means that the pre-configured host is disabled by default. When you click on Not Monitored, you can enable the host. It now shows monitored, but this does not mean that the monitoring actually works. On the right-hand side, you see different icons. The Z icon is shown in gray. That means that no status update has yet happened. After the first check of this host, the icon will turn green if the communication worked, or red if there was an error accessing the agent on that host. Zabbix will take a while until it picks up that a certain server is monitored. When you go to the dashboard, you can see that there is now one host which is monitored. Let's go back to the configuration. After roughly a minute, this icon will turn green, as you can see here. So the Zabbix server will now start collecting information from the system. Going back to the dashboard, you now see more information. Apparently Zabbix has found problems on my Zabbix server that it shows. If you're curious what information is already monitored, you can switch to the tab called Latest Data and see different groups of items. These groups are called applications. For example, CPU gives you information about the CPU load, there are general items, the memory usage, information on the operating system, the general performance, security items, and information on how the Zabbix server performs internally. When you expand the first section called CPU, you can see 3 items already. There are more items, but it may take a while for the Zabbix server to collect all this information. As you see when I reload this page, there are already 4 items now. Let's take a closer look. One of the items is called CPU user time, which is the time the CPU spends running user tasks. The latest value shown here is 5.7%. In the next column you can see the change, which means that the difference between the previously measured value and the current value is 0.17%. A very nice feature is hidden behind the graphs link. When you click on it, you can see an automatically created graph showing the measured item graphically. Such a graph can be viewed for any item, and you don't have to configure these graphs explicitly. After a few minutes, the graph will look like this. It is automatically reloaded. So in this video, you learned how to install a Zabbix agent on your Zabbix server. You enabled the host in the web interface and looked at the measured data. In the next video, we will add a new item that will check if a certain file exists.